You can't just throw money at all the best players and tell them, make it work. You can, but their play styles might not mesh at the end of the day.
Maybe not all of them are going to be able to be beating one another, but that's a way closer skill gap than last year in Black Ops 6. I think those teams would play a lot closer, which would be good. But then at the bottom, like all the other teams there, I don't really know what they're going to do. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 238 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good, minus like the technical difficulties that we've been having today trying to record the pod.
This is a late night for us, and it's mainly because we're just having odd tech issues right now. I don't know if it's the internet gods, the Wi-Fi gods, or what is messing with us right now, but that's why there's a little bit of trepidation right now. I'm like every 5 seconds I'm just like, okay, we're still going here.
I mean, when the people listening to this, they won't even know.
No, you'd have no idea.
They can't even tell. Yeah.
And they won't know about the struggles we've been through.
Yeah. We'll run through it though. It seems like the connection's stable and stuff now.
Well, we didn't even get really a chance to catch up because you were away for a week on a trip with the boys, and I was away for a wedding, so we were split. So it's been a minute since we've done the pod. I mean, we just had the whole week off there. But yeah, it's good to be back doing this.
Yeah, it's actually been like closer to 2 weeks.
Right, because we didn't. The T-Dog, right?
Yeah. With Tyler, we had that episode beforehand, and the whole time you and I were like, oh, we were supposed to record like last Thursday, but we were like, all right, it's getting late. We're gonna be talking about ROSTERMANIA finally. No one probably gives a shit anymore, but we haven't talked about it. But we were like, oh, the longer we wait, the more news we're gonna get. To be honest, we didn't really get like any news, like confirmation. We got like Cell saying he's actually leaving, but that doesn't confirm anything technically.
Right. I mean, I think some of those things like that, and with Abizi as well.
Yeah.
I mean, those were like the two main moves prior to ROSTERMANIA that were going on, that people were talking about. And then they went and put out their whole statement. I was impressed that FaZe made a whole video for both of those guys where they were saying their farewells.
Deserved.
Yeah, absolutely, it's deserved. It's one thing to hear that those guys are going to be leaving the team, like when we heard, I don't know, maybe like a month or so ago that was the rumor. But it's another thing for me to see them actually in front saying like, all the championships and all the success over the years, and they're saying their goodbyes. It actually hits home. You're like, damn, this guy's actually leaving FaZe,
Yeah, and it's going to be different next year when we see them in different jerseys. Like they walk out. That's going to be weird.
Yeah.
End of an era.
That to me is the weirdest part. Like, I don't know. Those guys, they to me, I mean, start like just with FaZe, that whole trio with Simp, Abizi, and Cell has just been a staple, like of the top teams that nobody could ever touch. They were always going to be together, and they've always been at the top. Even at a year where they talk about how it wasn't a really good year for them, and I suppose in retrospect, yeah, it wasn't. They still won 2 chips together,
Yeah.
like they did. Like that's what's crazy is they still were like a good team. But just for them, with the fact that they didn't do well at champs and at EWC, that was the final straw for them. They're like, there's no chance. We can't keep losing those. They didn't even I don't really think they honestly care about the other championships that they got.
Yeah, this is a true championship mindset of like nothing matters besides the big ones. And
right.
Which is crazy because, to some other orgs, obviously like winning a major is really important, but to other orgs, it's like, we won 2. What do you mean? We're good. But to them, like you said, winning those 2 majors, obviously they do care, but it's like, it wasn't the important ones that's going to like cement your name and legacy in COD. So I'm sure it was a tough decision for them where it was like, we have to make a change. Even though we won, like I think it'd be different if they won everything and then choked champs and EWC. But the fact that they didn't win everything just shows that, all right, these guys really want to win. And in order for that to happen, they thought, we have to break up. Let's try something different.
Yeah, and like seeing the teams that we're going to talk about, I mean, dude, I think Abeezy's the only one that's like gonna have a shot. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I think Simp, like with FaZe, and we'll get more into him, but um, I don't know. I was expecting that these guys were all gonna go to like they would have insane people around them,
mhm.
and it's not that. I don't think that these got like the teams like the same caliber as to what they had as a trio to where they're going minus a BZ. Um, I don't think they're really like upgrading that much. Like they're going to a better team where it's like, oh yeah, they can definitely still win championships and like potentially win, EWC and COD champs. I think a BZ, because talking about him first, he was the first one to make his announcement that he was leaving, and it was rumored that he was going to be going to Thieves, which, I mean, him now leaving that pretty much confirms it. But he's going to be on that team, and it's rumored right now that's going to be Abeezy, Scrap, Hydra, and Kenny. That
Mhm.
team is absolutely insane. I think that team, maybe I'm tripping, but I think that team might even be better than the Thieves that they had this year. And for sure that team is going to be up at the top. I would be mind blown if that team didn't win anything going into Black Ops 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's just like, I'm not going to say recency bias because it's been years with those three together, but it's like, I don't think like '04 and Abusa specifically for FaZe, like they're newer into the league. Technically, they're going to their third year, right? And like this is like a whole bigger issue of Call of Duty where we don't get to see enough games. So like in our heads, right, we've seen Scrap play, and any time like he plays, he just absolutely dominates like every single game he plays. Whereas, not saying '04 or Abusa are bad players, but I feel like they're not, they're not Scrap. They're their own like players. And back in the day when COD was just playing over and over and over, you could see how good these players were. And with only a couple matches, it's like, okay, they pop off here, they pop off there, but that's really it. Feel like if we're able to see more into the player and more games, then we're like, oh, okay, I understand why they want to go this route. And yeah, like I do understand why FaZe does want to go that route, and we'll get there. But I think part of it's just because the players that he's around are so much younger, like into the league. And we've seen that core trio of Simpa, Beasley, and Sal for so long, and they've been so dominant. Like it's weird. Like they're veterans at this point, but they're still so young.
Right, because they really only started. I mean, I think, well, Cell, did he start in Black Ops 4? Was that his first year on
Uh,
FaZe?
that no, that was well, yeah, that was his first year playing professionally.
Right,
But it's because they had the age limit. Like he had turned 18
right,
then. But it's so weird because I bet if I went back to watching them in like Black Ops 4 or whatever, these young guys, they're like, I'm not thinking these guys are gonna turn into veterans. I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are good, but like at that time period, I'm like, no one's beating Optic, no one's
right.
replacing like Formal and Scum. Like those were the guys, and now we're really seeing that shift into, all right, the Simp, Abeezys, and Sal's, they're the vets now, and then like '04 Abusa, um, like they're gonna be the Simps and Abeezys, like the newcomers.
Right. Yeah, there's like a passing of the guard,
Mm-hmm.
right? With these people when they come in. And yeah, you don't I feel the same way. You don't realize that it's happening until you look back. Like when you mentioned Black Ops 4, I was watching, it wasn't that long ago. I was watching that clutch that Cell had. I think it was in Control.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I forget what the map was. It was the map that had the highway in the middle of it, and he clutched. I think it was like a 2v1 or 3v1 clutch in
Mm-hmm.
Control, and you see who's around him, and it's like Attach, Zuma. I'm like, dude, holy, like those guys were veterans,
Mhm.
and they're like attached obviously this year calling it, but like Zuma, has been retired, I think since right before Cold War, I believe is when he called it.
Mhm.
Um, and to think Cell was the rookie then or like just starting. And now, yeah, he's a seasoned veteran. He's been playing for a long time and everybody wants to team with him because he's like got this legacy status attached to him. And
Mhm.
it's the same with Simp and Abizi. But that's the thing that's weird about COD because they're still all so young, you know? Like when I think of Scump or Formal, those guys are around our age, maybe like 29 or so at the most. Um, so you can kind of get it. You're like, yeah, they've been playing since they were 21 or like, 19, like when we started watching them. But like Cell, yeah, he's how old is he? He's like 23 or something
Yeah,
like that,
something like that.
24. Like he's like, actually, I want to go look it up how old he is. Like all those guys are still so young, and to think that they're veterans, but they
Mhm.
still have. Yeah, he's 24. He's born in 2000, bro.
Yeah.
Like these guys still have like hopefully so many
Mhm.
more years ahead of them playing. Like I would imagine these guys are going to be playing till they're like 28, 29 if they're still winning.
Yeah. Well, alright, that's like, uh, just sports as a whole. Like, when COD was becoming popular, it was, like, around our age, like, when it started really blowing up. So we were those young kids that were really good at COD, and then, as the game gets more popular or sport, you see the age of players just getting younger and younger. Like, these guys were playing when they were like freaking like 5, 6, no, like 7, 8, like in elementary school, and they're probably frying. And
Right.
it's just getting younger. And now, I mean, those guys turned 18 immediately pros and
Yeah.
like top of the top. Now we have this whole league structure, and it's just like we can't see the amount of action that we used to back in the day. Because I mean, like going back to Black Ops 4, like, dude, Clay was at the top. Like at one point, everybody thought Clay's gonna retire. He hasn't won in so I forget, there was like a counter. It was so long. And
Yeah. It was over 1,000 days, wasn't it?
I can't remember. It was a long time.
Yeah. Long time.
And then like he had Arcides, he had Pristini, and then yeah, Simp came along, and like it was just these guys were at the top at the time, and Simp and Abizi were the rooks. They're the young guys. Like the Arcides and Pristini were the best players, and Clay on that team.
Right.
That Simp came along and just like transformed everything. It's just weird watching that, and then watching regular sports too. It's like, oh, okay, we're just so biased to seeing like the older guys. You're like, no, he's still good. He's still good. They are good, but then when in comparison to the young ones, it's just like night and day. Like age just catches up to you at some point.
Well, think about that team too. Wasn't JCap on that team and he got dropped
Yeah, yeah.
for Simp?
Simp,
Isn't that
yeah,
what yeah.
yeah,
And like people would be like, dude, they are smoking crack. Like JCap's a
yeah.
two-time world champion, like he's a legend. And I could be wrong. I think that he didn't play in MW 2019. I don't think.
He played for Optic like for a hot second,
Oh, for a hot second. Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
then he
well,
was
he
like,
was on
"I'm
that
done."
weird version of Optic, right? Like when
Yeah, yeah.
it was like Chino was on that team and everything
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
It was
yeah,
OGLA.
right, right.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, exactly what you're saying. There is a lot of that in Call of Duty and sports in general where like us, we want to hold on to those
Yeah.
people so bad. We're like, dude, they're still insane. Like,
Back in my
but
day.
right, right, exactly. Back in my day, bro, like they were filthy.
Yeah.
Like I was watching this I think it was a video that Breaking Point put out just a couple days ago on Karma, and
Mhm.
it's like going way back in the day, like in Black Ops 1 and going into Black Ops 2, and you see
Mhm.
how young he is. I'm like, Jesus Christ. There's people who were watching back then being like, oh, dude, this guy's like, he's the man, he's
Mhm.
like the young rookie coming up. And now everyone looks at him. He's like the godfather of
Yeah.
Call of Duty, like him and Ray.
Mhm.
And same thing with JCap. Like those guys have been around forever. But yeah, their day does come and it's hard to see it happen. Like the worst, of course, was when Scump when he called it, but
Mhm.
I would even put an asterisk next to Scump because I think Scump, if he was still like had the desire to be playing and grinding that hard, I think he'd still be really good. Like I think
Mhm,
he would be definitely like I don't think he'd be the best player, but he would still be a top player. I don't think his fall off would be that insane compared to some of those other guys. I think
mhm.
the skill gap that we're talking about would be pretty extreme.
Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, I think a lot of the recent players that did retire this year and last year would still be able to play. It's
Yeah,
just it's sad to see that they are retiring because of the game at the end of the day. Like, the game's just not fun to them because they're not making, games like they used to. Um, and if they expanded the league, like, it'd be so cool, but also sad to see like a team with Attach, Zuma, like all like the older guys now, and say they're still competing, and then they're going up against like a young team, um, of just guys that are like 2 to 3 years like into the league.
right.
And it's like I'm sure all those guys, if they put in the time, can hang with the young kids, but there will always be at some point the taper off of the older guys just they can't hang as much in the newer games anymore. Um,
Right.
which is interesting because I wonder if Black Ops 7, when that comes out, it's going to be a bit slower. It's not, from what we've seen, it doesn't look like as twitchy, and you got to be cracked. So, like, would they be better on that? Like, that'd be awesome to see if those guys came back for like a tournament.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Even like going back on the league spots because that's always a debate that's brought up with these, which is the league in general. There's not enough teams in there, which I think having it like you can see it on both sides. Right now, it's good because the people that you have on there, you'd hope are the best people that they could possibly get. But it would be cool to see those guys play on some other team just for the nostalgia.
Mhm.
But it would also suck to see them get absolutely slammed
Yeah.
and just be like, the like this team worked back like in Black Ops 3, this team was insane. It's
Mhm.
like, yo, that was 9 years ago, bro. Like that
Yeah.
these guys are not the same players anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think the game definitely has an impact on some of these players and especially the older ones to your point because yeah, if the game is slower and is more methodical, and like I've seen that with Aches, like I don't think he would be that great of a player on like the super fast games, you know. Um I'm not sure he'd still be okay if he actually put in time, but I think his play style and the way he thinks of the game he is much better suited for a slower game that's more methodical.
Mhm.
Um, and we haven't really seen a COD like that in a long time. So if COD ends up going down that route where it is slowed down a bit and you need to actually think and not just, run and tack sprint,
Mhm.
like full force into everything.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's going to be some players who shine through a bit more than they have in recent years. Or there's going to be the guys like they can really cement themselves like a simp. I mean, he already is, but where if you have a game that's completely different and he's still that good, um, it might just confirm to everybody. It's like, yeah, this guy can really adapt to anything. He can play in jetpack games. He could play in, like the MW, like, more modern version. He can play in the more arcadey or slow version, like whatever. He can play it all.
Mhm.
And that's where like the best players like Karma and all those guys, that's why people look at them, not just because of their rings, but like they were good in every title, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, the games now it's just head banging. And like you don't get punished as much anymore when you make mistakes. Or back in the day, the methodical play style. If you got four wiped, that's like detrimental
Right.
to the whole
Right.
team. Now it's like, yeah, you get wiped, but you can sprint all the way across the map in like a couple seconds and just keep banging it over and over. And
Right.
then eventually, hopefully, it works. But like going back to like a Beezy's team with Scrap, Scrap, Kenny, Hydra, and him. I know people are saying Kenny just lucked out onto this team
Let's hear
somehow.
the Kenny prop, Justin.
Dude,
I know you love him, bro.
yeah, it's just like it's just funny seeing him like flip flop between. To me, he'll always be like an LA Thieves member or 100 Thieves. He's always
Yeah.
there. He did a short stint on Optic, came in what he needed to do, won a ring for Optic, and now he's back at Thieves.
Right.
And people are like, "Oh, he's trash. He's trash." I'm like, dude, one season. How quickly everyone just forgets.
Oh
One
yeah.
season. And I know we fall into this too, but it's like you look at the names on paper. Yes, we're also biased because of the season that just happened, but also the 4 players on a team, they might look really, really good together on paper. But then when they actually go and play, their play styles just don't mesh. And I don't know how to describe it, but like that team chemistry, it's something about when you actually load into the game and play, you can feel the pacing on the map and if it's working or not. And you feel that pretty quick after a handful of games if it can work or not. But then you see like Vancouver Surge when they replace who they replace? Was it not Nasty? Hixie
Yeah.
with um
Neptune.
Neptune. Like the pacing changed completely. And okay, you look at that team on paper, they're all young players. You would never expect them. Again, recency bias. You would never expect them to play well together. But they did. And I think that's what people forget. Kenny brings a lot of like you know, history and he's a veteran in the scene. Like he understands how to play the game. And maybe that's what they need. You know, Scrap's really good, Hydra's insane, Abizi's insane. Like it's funny, Ken is a true veteran, but I'm pretty sure he's younger than like Abizi. If not the
Re-
same age.
Really?
Yeah, like Ken's
Man,
really young.
I saw that he had his birthday recently. How see he's 26 and a
Okay,
beast.
Abizi might be 25.
Yeah,
Or it
let's go.
might be 26 too.
He could be. He's 25. He's barely
Barely. Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's not that like much of an age gap. But what you're saying too, dude, Kenny's been around mad long.
Yeah, a long time.
Way longer than Abizi has,
Yeah.
but it's only 1 year different.
And people just forget. I'm like, dude, this guy's not bad. He had a bad team that like the systems didn't work on the game. That's just how it is. And I think he did get blessed at least like in the spot, the situation that he's in. Like that's an insane team to go from rocker to this. Uh but like he's proven that he can play at the highest level. He won with LAT. He won with technically the rival. He went to the enemy team, won a chip there, and now he's back again. Um, so like I'm happy for him. I think he's gonna fry, and I think he's gonna do really well like on this team.
Yeah, my only concern with this team, which I heard on the flank, and I do agree with it, um, is when I see that team, I see like 3 people who are like really young and are really fast players. And then when I think of Kenny, I put him more in that methodical realm that we were talking about. And Kenny's always been known as someone who has a system and how he wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't play into that system, um, it usually doesn't go that well. Like I think that he had that system for what was it, MW3,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked phenomenal on that team and for that game. And then when they went to Black Ops, was it? Well, no, what was it? Why am I blacking out on the name right now? Not just Black Ops 5.
6.
No, yeah, 6, bro. I'm like thinking Cold War right now, dude. I'm losing my mind. When playing that game, it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
That system that he had that worked in the last game didn't work for this one. And I'm sure that there were other teams too that were able to counter that. And that's kind of what ended up leading him to get kicked off of that team, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But who's to say that he has a system that works or that these guys want to play into? And that's where I get kind of worried because if he is someone like that, where he's like, look, this is how I want to play the game, this is like
Mm-hmm.
what will have us win. I don't know if Scrap and those guys are going to really buy into it, or they're going to be like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know who we are? Like, we're going to run this. You do this, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
win. You know,
Yeah.
I have a feeling there might be some headbutting with that team because there's some like Scrap and Hydra are strong personalities, and so is Ken.
Mhm.
Abizi, I don't know enough about him, um, but I feel like those three, and really Scrap and Kenny, I feel like those two, if they're not gelling together on how to play the game, it could be a real problem.
Yeah. I mean, you could also say that the team that he was on beforehand, the system that he had, those players just did not fit into the system. They
That's true.
they weren't Scrapabeezy and Hydra, who you
Right.
can just slot in, and you know the system changes like a bit depending on the player, right? Like obviously, I think the three players he'll have around him are a severe like pack a punch
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
him. So I think when people say players have a specific system they like to run. Um, I just think it's a way of like, this is how we play Call of Duty and this is how you win, which is like the core mechanics and the basics of COD. And I think that is what wins like championships at the end of the day if you can lock in that system and you're consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas you get like, I don't know, some like super fast team that's just like head banging and trying to just outgun everyone because they are that good. And there are teams like that, but that won't be as consistent as a team with a built in system. Um, I do agree that I think Ken has a pretty big personality. Like, I mean, he said it that I'd much rather like my teammates scream at me because that means they care.
Right.
And Scrap's gonna voice his opinion too if they're fucking up or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it can either be really, really good that they both say stuff and hash it out, or the opposite where they hold on to grudges or something. But I mean, I don't know him, but I feel like Kenny's gone through so much like shit in his career that he's at the point in his career where it's like you can say whatever you want to me, it doesn't matter, um because at the end of the day like he just wants to win. So
Yeah, and you also have to imagine that he understands how big of an opportunity this is, and he's got to make it work.
mm,
Because honestly, I was shocked that Thieves picked him up, not in the sense of him being a bad player, but just kind of where his career was going because
mm,
it was such a bad year for him. And then he went to Rocker, and it really didn't get any better.
mm,
Um, and again, Kenny being more of a veteran player, being old, I was thinking that maybe most top teams they're going to look at guys like Neptune or look at the FaZe breakup and try to poach some of those guys. Um, but obviously Kenny earned his spot at Thieves and he's like been a part of that system. I totally agree with you. I think that he just always he fits that vibe of LA Thieves and 100 Thieves perfectly. Um so in that sense, I think it is good that he should be on that team, but it's going to be a big year for him because if that team doesn't work out, like I mean, it's going to be really hard for Nate Shot to keep signing those checks for those guys because
mm,
that's 2 years in a row he's been paying these guys insane amount of money, and I know damn well that he wanted another ring and wanted a good placing at EWC, and that's why that team blew up. He's like,
mm.
absolutely not. Like, I built a super team and I only get 2 chips. Like, this is pathetic. Like,
Yeah, well,
you know,
see, that's the other thing like about building super teams. It just goes back to the chemistry of the players. It's like you have
right,
four players that are insane talent. Like go back to when Black Ops 6 started. They won. They just didn't win the two that were most important, or the one that was most important.
right,
Um, and that just shows like you can't just throw money at all the best players and tell them make it work. You can, but their play styles might not mesh at the end of the day. Like if you're anyone on that, if you're a Hydra, Scrap, or a Beezy, and someone's arguing with you about you should play like this, what the hell? You're not going to tell me how to play like that. I'm going to
right,
play my play style because that's how I've won multiple rings.
right.
Like if they're not willing to change, and honestly, they shouldn't because they're the best in their role at that time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a prediction right now. If this team is real, not knowing all the other teams, this team will. I'll have to see like the first like couple matches first, but they're winning like at least one major. Like I want to say that they're going to win champs just because Kenny has that track record where he joined Optic and he was that missing piece and he had three like guys around him that were just insane and like he did his job and he got them to work. Um and I want to say that he's going to do the same exact thing coming into Thieves. He's got three insane guys around him. He just has to rally the troops and make them do certain things.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that prediction too. They have to win at least one. I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
team has to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think those guys are either going to want to get out, um, or Nade's going to get them out of there because
Mm-hmm.
again, there's too much talent on that team to not be succeeding. I do think that there is levels to it, like what you said about the chemistry, because there are some teams that can be a quote unquote super team, but they just don't have that extra bit of like gelling and working together that some of the other teams may have because
Mm-hmm.
they can match them on talent. Like I think when you look at that Optic team right now on paper, um, obviously they were like a stacked team beyond belief. But talent wise, I would say that even like the guys on Thieves, they're pretty evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
Mercury's of course on Optic, like he really is. Pat was always joking about that, but that legacy savior thing is legit. Like that guy,
Yeah.
he is a one in a million. That guy could go to any team and he could bring them up. I mean, he's a freak. But I also do think that Optic has that chemistry and just are able to mesh with each other so well, and that's what puts them above everybody, and that's why they were able to dominate
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of the year, because that's just that missing piece that if you can find that in players and you build that team, then you're set. But
Mm-hmm.
as we saw with this Thieves team, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the year, I was nervous. I was like, dude, they are going to run this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just think about how ridiculous that team, Envoy, Ghosty, Scrap, and Hydra, it's like
Mm-hmm.
insanity, you know? But they just, did you watch that video, by the way, that 0 to 100?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like reading too much into stuff, but like when I see that, you can kind of tell that they're not like super tight with each other, you
Yeah.
know? Like there's
Yeah.
like yeah, they're friendly, like kind of friends, but it's
Mm-hmm.
business, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um
Which that that's like work at the end of the day. Which like you know, eh, some people like to go to work and be friends like with their coworkers. Some people like to go to work to just get the job done and then go home and do what they want, right? But I feel like if you're a part of a team, not just sports, just in general, like if you work on a team and you're not like a solo individual, that's really hard to do. Like it's so
yeah,
much better when you are part of the team. You feel like you matter in your team. Um,
right.
and it just makes you play better because you want to play for the person next to you, not just yourself too. Like you don't want to disappoint anyone else around you. And that's why I think chemistry matters like a ton. People will argue that it doesn't matter if you get four great players, then
They'll
you're
make
just
it
gonna
work.
win everything.
Yeah, no.
I don't believe that. Four great players could also mean four insane egos that some egos just will not mesh. And, someone has to give in a little bit, for it to work. Not everyone can just run and gun the whole time.
Right.
Someone's got to hop on hill. Someone's got to rotate. Someone has to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Vancouver Surge that like this past year. I mean, man, on paper, those guys were nowhere near the best players, like you said.
Mhm.
But statistically, they were insane. Obviously they fell short. They didn't actually win anything. But the fact that team got second to the best teams, it shows a lot that they just work so well together. They can play on the map so well, and I'm
Mhm.
sure those guys are close in general too. Um, so it is interesting to see how some of these teams kind of, cherry pick these players and try to find where they're going to be. Um, like on the Thieves team, I think that's going to be an interesting one as to how that all works out. But even with the FaZe one, because that's going to be Simp is rumored to stay on that team. And then it's going to be, I think Draza. I don't know yet if he's staying on that team. I would assume he is, because I haven't heard anywhere else that he's going to go. But they're going to pick up 04 and Abuza. Like, I don't know what to think about. That's going to be a good team. They're going to be
Mhm.
good, but I don't think they're winning anything though. Maybe
Mhm.
that's a little crazy, but I don't know. I just don't see that team off the rip just like meshing immediately.
Yeah, I see that team like I'm not like not struggling, but I do see that team more of like, which is crazy, like the middle pack. Um, if they don't mesh quickly, and
Yeah.
I mean, they could that could be completely wrong, but I think Simp and Draza are the type of people that benefit from a player like Octane or Kenny. Guys that step
Right.
into the room and that are just like, look, you guys are better than me talent wise, but like they're like the leader, the commander that goes and like manages all the troops. Um and they hype everyone up while doing it. Like
Right.
they know they have to play a specific role with players like that on the team. And this team, I mean, Simp's the vet on this. And
Yeah.
he's insane. One of the best players in the world. But I think he needs help with like, commanding that room or like with the other three people. Or
Right.
if all four of those guys they just like mesh really well and they just, chat. Cause like if you look at Surge, for example, I wouldn't think anyone on that team's just like, the guy that goes and helps command the room. It seems like all of them just work really well together. They're friends inside and outside of the game. That's why they meshed. And I'm sure if the option for them was to stay together and Surge decided to keep them, they would have. Um, but that didn't happen, obviously. And 04 and Abuja went to FaZe, supposedly. So, I mean, I don't know. I think this team will do pretty well. I think it's just they're going to struggle a bit more in the mid pack.
Yeah, I think it's going to take them a minute to find their footing. But I would say they're going to be the best of the rest.
Mhm.
Like
I
there's
do see
I
potential, like high ceiling with these guys.
Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling they're gonna peak later in the season. They're gonna
Mhm.
be at first they're not gonna do as well. But then once they get to like major 3 and 4, um, they're definitely gonna be a solid team. They might be able to make it to Sundays and pull that off. But I would see that team probably being still like fourth best if I had to guess. It's gonna be Optic and it's gonna be Thieves. I mean, you can even say, like, honestly, like FaZe would be the third best team, right? Because
Mhm.
talking about this Falcons team, like where Celium's going, like the last piece of that FaZe trio, um, everybody was expecting that Falcons was going to just throw the bag at these people and get, all the superstar players and not really give a damn and just be like, all right, make it happen.
Mhm.
Um, I heard Cell got paid an insane amount of money. That guy must be, because I don't know how to feel about this team that he's going to be on this year. It's
Mhm.
rumored right now that it's going to be him, uh, Pred, Exnid, and Kismet. I never we talk about like seeing these teams as years go on
Oh
and these
no,
players. I know it's lagging. We'll see if it comes back here though. You're
just wait.
frozen. You're giving me the death stare on this right now. We'll pause.
We're back. We're good.
There we are. Good. But like we were saying, seeing certain players like from one time and then they go on and like, these teams evolve and whatnot. I never thought in a million years that I would see Pred, Salium, Kismet, and Exnid on a fucking team together. That
Mhm.
is like one of the strangest combos for a team that I've seen in my time watching COD. And I have no idea how this team's gonna do. I find it amazing if they're gonna be like a top team,
Yo,
you know. The
we'll be
lag is
back.
kicked in, bro.
Back. Yeah, you have no idea how this team's gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm with you. Like clear. I'm not gonna say clearly Sell left for the bag. I'm sure he got paid handsomely.
Oh yeah,
But obviously, like if you look at Thieves, at least, right? Optic's not making a change. That's clear. They just won. You look at Thieves. Realistically, I don't think Sell would have fit into that Thieves team. Like, I think it would have been the same thing that happened with FaZe if he joined Thieves too. And I'm pretty sure Thieves did try like getting him, but Falcons probably just gave him like an insane offer after them. Um, and that team is weird, but again, I think it's just recency bias where like Pred just won. Pred is Pred. Pred's insane. Um, he had a bad year again, just like Kenny, and he finds himself on a team that could have like a really high ceiling. And then Kiz is the one that's weird because I think he's falling back into that, Paris Legion Kiz, because he didn't have the right players around him to
yeah,
make him like really shine. I don't know if these guys are the ones around him to make him really shine, but we've seen him like hit his peak before. And when he's at that peak, he's insane. Like when he was playing MW2 and Vanguard, he looked like he was unstoppable the entire
right.
time. I think the only caveat of this team at the end of the day is like Xnid, because we don't know what to expect out of him with a team like this. I do think Falcons are probably not going to do as well as FaZe, just because I don't know if the chemistry is there, if they're going to make it work.
Yeah.
But if they do make it click again, uh, those three at least will be really, really strong players. Xnid's just the weird like asterisk. I think he's proven himself to like get onto the team and play, but I don't know if he's gonna be that fourth guy that's like enough to push them into that like top three, top four range.
Right. He's gotten thrown into a crazy position
It's probably
where,
insane for him. Like these
oh
are
yeah,
god players that he's around.
right. I mean, they're all world champions,
Yeah.
you know, and he won like what, a couple of maps
Mhm.
all year, and like I don't did they win a series? No, they did. They
Yeah.
did. They beat like I think they beat Optic
Mhm.
once, and they beat a couple of others, but yeah, I mean, we're talking series that they've won, and that was like he won COD champs,
Mhm.
because of where that team was at. Now he's around these guys who are multiple championship winnings. Um, it's yeah, it's kind of do or die for him. I think that they for sure kept him on the team, one because he's been on the team,
The culture.
and he was the best player on the team for a period, and then yeah, definitely the culture part of it too. Being like a Saudi player, they want to keep that going. It's just a question of how long do they want to keep that going if it's going to be affecting them. If Xnet ends up costing on that team, uh, I could see them dropping him because there's plenty of players who would be attracted to that team because of the money and the players on that team. Like
Mhm.
it is a weird group. Just seeing it on paper, seeing that it would be Cell and Kiz, like that to me is just odd. And then Pred, but to your point, like yeah, Pred's coming off an awful year, but he barely played. Pred's Pred. And Kiz, same thing. Like, he was unstoppable when he won champs. Like, he's a freak. But this year, like, I almost, you kind of can't even count that year. Like, if in the Black Ops 6 year, it was just, he was on a bad team and it was like an off year. Which
He
is
was cursed from the start on that team, to be honest.
Oh, right, right. Like nobody was really expecting much from that team, and even prior, like I think it was the year before that when he was on the Subliners. Still, like that team was kind of broken already.
They tried recreating Hydra and
Right,
running that subliners experiment back again, and it just didn't work. And I think that's when people like you look at those players and you're like, wow, they just won champs. They looked unstoppable because of Hydra. Hydra enabled them to look insane. And then that key player left, and Lins was not the second Hydra for them to make
right.
them all look great. And that's when, like, year after year, we look at them again and we're like, they are getting older. Are those like the players now? We look back a couple of years ago, we're like, they were insane at one point, and now they are tapering off. But I just don't think that's the case with Kiz. He's one of those guys where like you need a player to really enable you and like the rest of the team. And maybe Pred is that guy. Maybe Pred like makes Kiz, they pair really well together, and Xnit is like a really, really good flex for them.
And
I don't know.
I can't remember how Kiz was stat wise throughout the year. Um, because you have to give like some leeway to it regarding the players, like what we're saying, where you're in a system and these guys can aid in how you play. But the good players will always be good.
Yeah.
Like if Celium is on that team and they get absolutely cooked, I would be very shocked if Celium all of a sudden is just getting fried himself. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like he's all of a sudden like a .7 player, .6,
Mm-hmm.
coming off of every year that we've seen him, he's like always one of the top players in the game. I think he'd still be up there. He may dip down a bit because of those guys. Like they may not help him in the way that he needs to be helped, but he's still going to be a good player. He'll
Mm-hmm.
still shine through. Um, so some of those guys you can afford to have a bad year because of where they've come from. Like Kiz again, coming off a world championship, has the next year with New York again. It's so. And then he goes with this team. It's like, yeah, it's not really that
Mm-hmm.
great, but all right, you can buy one. If he goes into this team again, much like with Xnit, and he's around these guys who it's like, you got Pred and you got Cell on your team, and you're supposed to be Kismet, the guy
Mm-hmm.
that we know. If you can't deliver on that team, then that's where the career is in limbo,
Yeah, yeah.
and you may end up in the doldrums of the 8 through 12 team,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
like it's not easy to get out of there.
Yeah, you don't want to be down there.
Yeah, you
um,
get stuck.
yeah, I mean, overall though, I think Falcons, it is a strange team at the end of the day. Um, but I think we'll only be able to tell once we start watching with a team like that.
I mean, bro, this gets brought up a lot, but it is so true. Dude, the comms on that team.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
like Xnid. I don't think his grasp of English is that great.
Mm-hmm.
Cell barely speaks English like as is in his comms. Like I just think that is going to be hell on earth for
Mm-hmm.
Xnid. He's
Well,
gonna be listening to that, like, what is going on? Like, bro, from what I had before and now
mhm.
I have this, and Clay's gonna be like, dude, what are you
Yeah.
saying?
I think though, having Clay as a coach and like Kiz will definitely help command that. But
Yeah.
I think with Kiz and Clay having like so much experience with Hydra, and like Hydra even like learning English, and now his English is like pretty solid. Um, I think if Xnid is that guy, they'll put in the work for him to like get up to speed on the English callouts and just learning English in general. But yeah, I mean, if Xnid was on another team with players that haven't experienced that, it's going to be hard. So I think he is lucky to have two players that have already gone through that.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um, but it's going to be that's going to be one of my more interesting teams to watch because they are a real wild card. Like
Mm-hmm.
we know Thieves is going to be like a good team, Course Optic, um, and but when it comes to same thing with FaZe, like they're going to be solid. They won't be completely trash.
Mm-hmm.
Falcons, I honestly don't know. I just because I don't know I really have no idea what version we're gonna get of those players on that team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's just too many question marks. Of course, Sal's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Like he's the guarantee. You know, Pred, who knows? And same thing with Kiz, and same thing for Xnid. But I hope that team does well. I just want more competition this league for this year. And honestly, I think we're gonna get that because I'm telling you, bro, my sleeper team this year is the Gentlemates team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they built a phenomenal team, honestly. Like it's supposedly going to be Envoy, Ghosty, the LAT rejects, and then Nasty and Neptune, which are the Surge rejects. and two of the best players on Surge for sure.
Mm,
You know, I mean, just that whole team was really good, but I really like that team. I feel like the chemistry on that team would work well. I feel like the mindset of how they would play the game and just their play styles. Um, I have a really good feeling about that team. I'm impressed with Gentlemates because they haven't really, I don't think at all, like they've had a strong year in the CDL at all.
mm. Well,
You know,
LAG hasn't at all. Gentlemates, they came in this year technically.
right. But yeah, that
But yeah,
that
LAG's
org.
just they're just bad.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Like that, they're cursed. They just
Mhm,
had it was same thing with the Legion. Like
mhm,
that, you couldn't build a good team on there, you know.
mhm,
Um, but it seems like they did their homework and they did, a solid job picking up players. They definitely got the best of the rest,
mhm.
from like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mega superstar players that, were going to be immediately tied up to those teams. I think they built the best of what they could have gotten. So I think that
Mhm.
team could for sure be a fourth, fifth place team.
Yeah, I think the mindset of this team will take them really far. I think
Yes.
it seems like they're all level-headed people, but like Ghosty and Envoy are the two that stick out to me that like they will voice their opinions, but they're gonna get through it. And anytime they voice their opinions, like or anyone on that team, like people will listen. It's not like they're telling you you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like they're actually having a constructive, conversation about it. But it's just it's interesting to see how Surge broke off like two of their players. One to set to phase and then the other to Gentlemates. Cause like I don't know how you really decide that. I'm sure part of it's just like at least with FaZe, they knew that Draza and Simp are staying. They're like, look, we need a main AR and another sub to pair up with Simp. So looking at that team, I guess like Abuza has to be a lock because he was a great AR. But then
Yeah.
it's a toss up between like O4 and Nep. Like which
Right.
one do you think will suit up well with Simp? And obviously they chose O4. And I'm sure Gentlemates, if I had to take a guess, they looked at Ghosty and Envoy because they were a pair together and were like, all right, we need another sub and a flex to like pair up with these guys. Like, what is the best scenario here? Um, and getting the other half of Surge is, a pretty good answer to do that because the last thing you want is like, yeah, you get like another good sub to pair up with Envoy, right? But then you lose that chemistry immediately. Like if you don't get nasty and you find like another flex. Obviously, they're all professionals and they're gonna make it work. But sometimes you want to. At least I would. I'd look at the benefit of all right. These two already teamed together from the previous year and they played really well together. Maybe a flex or a sub you're looking at individually is better than one of them, but that team chemistry you have having those two and then plugging them in with like another pair, that might work a lot better than having individuals just come in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so because first off, I was a little surprised that that team split off. I do get it just because they must have felt that they couldn't get over that hump, of second
Mhm.
place, and that's why
Oh
they
well,
did.
I
But
I heard too that Surge just wasn't gonna pay for them,
yeah, that's the
which
sad
like
reality of it.
yeah, and there were I don't know if the rumors are true or not, but it was Nep knew that like they knew going into
Oh
EWC that
yeah,
they weren't gonna stay together. And he reached out to players before, which if that is true, that like I get it, but also it's like you gotta lock into the last major. You don't want if
right.
I knew that my teammate was already looking for next year, I'm like, yo, I get it. But
But
we're
dude,
playing
like
now,
save that
right
for
now.
later. Like, bro, we have
Yeah.
to we have to like lock it as a team here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're mentally checked
Yeah.
if you're
It's
in
like
that.
you sort of got betrayed, but you know that this team's not gonna last because they're not gonna get paid what like they want.
Right.
So
But I think too, like we said, when they split off just 50-50,
mhm,
I think because a lot of people saw the potential in that team anyway as a
mhm,
squad of four, you know. And again, everybody on that team was really good. There was nobody on that team that really struggled throughout the year. Like you could see with Thieves that Envoy and Ghosty were for sure like the more, the lesser of the two players on that team. They had a
Mhm.
lot more worse series than Hydra and Scrap. But on that Surge team, everybody was really good. Like Neptune obviously was the superstar player on that team. Um, but I think a lot of these, like the bigger teams, especially with the moves that ended up happening, like the phase move was just insane because that kind of like set everything into motion. Like those guys leaving and then thinking that, oh man, like now there's a spot that we could actually end up on phase and
Mhm.
not be like
Yeah.
in the Draza spot, which is the chopping block of people that have come in. There's been the Arcides, there's
Mhm.
been the Slasher, and then there's been the Draza. And now he's the only one that's actually like held that position.
Yeah.
Um, I think with all those moves that happened, it was smart to try to pick up as many of those players as you can, and systematically, yeah, it's like if 04 and Abuza are the two guys that they work best with each other. It's like, yeah, why not pick up both those guys? They played already with each other. They got the chemistry with one another. They know like their tendencies. Um, it's easy. It would
Mhm.
be easier probably to do that, I would imagine, than maybe picking up two people that are completely random and have never played. And now you've got a
Mhm.
squad where it's like, okay, you got Simp and Draza who have their own way of thinking of the game. And now you got to teach that to two people who maybe have different, different ways of thinking of the game, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, and it's like from history that they played with each other, they played through the whole year with each other, and they meshed well. So
Right.
realistically, taking another pair and the other pair and pushing them together, it should work out. Um, Especially too because they all play different roles.
Right.
Um, and then moving
It,
on to like, oh yeah, go ahead.
the team I was just, because I was going to look it up. I was going to ask about Miami
Mhm.
because they were so good this past year, and I just wanted to look it up here because yeah, they picked up their new player from Argentina. This guy, was it Trax?
Mhm. Yeah, tracks.
Yeah,
I think that's what you said.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I don't know what to think about Miami. I was gonna
Mhm.
say too with this because you heard the rumors too with Snoopy
Mhm.
potentially going to Miami, which would make sense.
Mhm.
Um, God, I hope that doesn't happen because we'll be,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, it may. I've heard different things. I think it may be good for Boston because they could sell him,
Mhm.
and they can get some money and then maybe get another good player in his spot. Um,
But how much though? That's like the thing. Like, is it worth
is it
it?
worth it? Yeah,
Business wise, probably. So then they can recoup like some of their money. But but it seems like not to get into Boston already because I want to do them last. But like they're a very same with Ultra, except Ultra wins. Um, Boston has been a team where they produce and find like amazing talent, like young talent. They develop them, and then we
right,
fucking lose them,
right,
and then
right.
they go to like top teams, and we're like, okay,
What
like they
could have
did,
been?
it just didn't peak like when they're on the team.
Right.
Because Snoopy, like it's been the Snoopy project the past couple of years, and it's worked for the most part. Like he's a very very good player, and I think he's learned a lot. But um, yeah, this is just a weird year. Like, do you keep developing that, or with Miami, I heard that team's like not sticking together because of money, and some players got better offers, but it would make sense for Snoopy to go play there and then speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But
Right.
also too, I don't know if his Spanish is the same exact Spanish as like the other
Because he's from Mexico,
Mexican. Yeah,
and those guys are
different.
from Spain.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
different tongue.
Right. Right.
I'm sure some words are probably similar, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, like what Miami's gonna do because I heard that like they don't want to pay the amount of money that and that I can understand too. Like it sucks.
Well, and that's like the real tragedy of some of this, because a lot of these teams at the top, the teams that have always been at the top, they're the ones who can afford to pay for these guys.
Mhm.
Um, and Miami's coming off of such a good year where all those guys
Mhm.
work so well together. Um, you wish that they would just stick it out and maybe be like, we'll take. Well, we want obviously more money than what we had last year,
Mhm.
but I'm sure they're not asking for a little bit more, and rightfully so. Off the year that they had, comparatively to other years, they brought that team to new heights.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just a sad reality. Like now they're gonna have to go split off somewhere, and who really knows where they're gonna end up. I know the other org that they may end up going to would be it's the Movistar Koi, like that has openings in there, I'm
Mhm.
sure. And then outside of that, it's like when it comes to top teams, that's kind of it.
Mhm.
Like you're either gonna be on Miami, Boston, you'd hope, but I don't think any of those guys are gonna go to Boston. And then it would be Koi, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all the spots that we just talked about for like the real top teams, and then talking about Gentlemates being like an underdog team, that those are your four. You got like them, whether they got those two, and then you got Thieves and FaZe, and we keep forgetting about Optic because no
Yeah.
one's talking about them. Somehow
Oh,
we've
yeah.
seemingly forgotten about Optic and being like,
Well,
dude, this team's gonna be insane. I'm like, bro, I think Optic is still going to be an absolute
yeah.
menace next year.
Yeah. I mean, we only got to see a short stint of that team on this game. So
Yeah.
and they won champs. So like,
Mhm.
we'll see them for a full year. That would be insane if it was a a turnaround of MW3 with Pratt
Right.
and Kenny and like they just dropped the goddamn ball.
Bro.
That would be insane.
That would be
Um
that would be crazy.
I don't think it's going to happen again, but you never know. And if that happens, I'd imagine that Hook is the one to
Who
go, which sucks. Or that'd be crazy if they make a 2-person change too. And then obviously, if that happened, Mercs can go to a team and he's just gonna fry again. That's just how it is every single
But then
time.
then you get to this point, like now that team, Hook is still the odd man out, which
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
sucks so bad because he's done more than I would say he is one of the Mahook is for sure one of the most loyal Optic members of all time. This
Yeah.
guy doesn't put up any arguments. He doesn't tweet any bad stuff.
Mhm.
Never says a bad word about these people. He's just like, it is what it is. What are you
Mhm.
gonna do? And then they offer him like, hey, you want to come back? Sure, I'll be back. Hey, you're dropped. All right, I understand. You want to
Yeah.
come back? Sure. He just goes with the flow. It is what it is. But man, I mean, now he won a championship with them. He's
Mhm.
kind of in that undeniable realm with Optic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but the other three, and for sure Merc, um, I think those guys are just undroppable.
Yeah, yeah,
They could
yeah.
get last all year, and I think they're never going to get rid of those guys.
Mhm.
They would maybe get rid of Hook, but even still, um, you know, from what we've seen with that team, they hit an insane level. I
Mhm.
think they hit a better level than when they had Kenny on the team.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree. Like there's just some players that are completely undroppable.
Right.
And like it's just crazy because like FaZe Simp is clearly that guy. Like he is
Yeah.
undroppable. But saying
Yeah.
that you have to drop Cell and Abizi, like it's just crazy. But yeah, no,
Those guys
Optic.
leave. They don't
Yeah,
get
yeah, they
dropped,
don't
they
show. They
leave.
leave. Yeah, they came to a mutual
Yeah, a
understanding.
mutual agreement. They're
yeah,
like, "I don't wanna be here
yeah, yeah.
anymore."
We have to part ways. But yeah,
Right.
Optic. They're not gonna make a change. Like, I don't even think we've seen the full Optic yet with that team.
Yeah.
Again, we saw a short stint of them, so that'll be exciting to see. And with I guess we can talk about Boston now, but like they've been notorious for the team where they like scrap together players. Um and it's just that just gets harder and harder every year, right? Like you basically you're going to be okay with just being the mid pack like at best.
Yeah.
Um unless there's always a chance, but it's probably like a 1 to 3% chance of like you get those like leftover players and then they become the surge, you know, and
Right.
then everything just meshes. But odds are it's just really hard to do that. So I don't really know what Boston does because they can't. I hope they keep Snoopy in terms of
Invest in
just like,
Purge.
yeah, keep Snoopy in terms of like, talent, and then keep Purge as his duo. And then Cam and Awakening, like I'm sure they're probably like looking, they're being shopped around. Um, but that just brings up the point of like, who else? And that I feel like that's always a question with like these bottom teams, the middle to bottom tier teams. But I don't really even know where Boston stands. So because we're not going to find out until I would say at least uh, movie star Koi gets signed. The other two
Right.
players, and I think whoever the other two players that get signed with that team, that's going to be another underdog team. Like that is
Yeah.
a great scenario to be signed with Insight and Kleenex, who have won the most championships together as a duo.
Right. And then at that point, you would have 6 teams, I think, right? You'd
Yeah.
have Optic, FaZe, Thieves, Gentlemates, Move a Star,
Mm-hmm.
right? Am I missing someone?
Did you say Falcons?
No. So there
Yeah.
you go,
Yeah.
6. Yeah. I mean, that would be 6 teams that, maybe not all of them are gonna be able to be
Mm-hmm.
beating one another, but that's a way closer skill gap, um, or just, like, skill in general than last year in Black
Mm-hmm.
Ops 6. I think those teams would play a lot closer which would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the bottom, like, all the other teams there, I don't really know what they're gonna do. Again, Boston, he said, would only imagine who we don't know what's gonna happen with Snoopy, but I would assume that they're gonna keep Purge. Purge was really, really good on the team. And based off of where like other teams are at right now, I don't think he's gonna really get anything else. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know if he would want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they need to take a chance. They need to like if it doesn't work out with Snoopy or like same thing with Wake and Cam, I'm only going to assume that Awakening and Cam are out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're just going to have to take a chance on some players. I think that's really the move going forward. Time back to what we said at the beginning. There's a lot of like legacy players at the bottom there, where they're really on their last straw. Um, and this is like a do or die season for them to figure this out. And like someone like Sib, who I think would be good if they could get him on Boston, stuff like that. I don't really know if he's going to be interested in trying to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think he'd try to end up on like, no disrespect, but I try to end up on a better team, or a more solidified team with players that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what's Boston really left with?
Well,
That's
yeah.
where I think they gotta just take a risk and be like, look, we got someone who's solid, like, or a couple people who are solid. Let's bring in some other people who, from challengers
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Well, yeah, bring them from challengers that and just see how it goes. Cause you don't want to be picking up guys who are like, oh yeah, they're veterans,
Mm-hmm.
but they've been veterans for way too long and they've just been milling about on these 8 through 12 teams for years. And it's like, it's the
Yeah.
same car, but they just repaint it. It's like no one
Yeah.
really cares.
Well, the bottom six teams, regardless, like they should take a risk because at the
They
end of the day,
need
you don't
to.
really have anything to lose. And Boston's just known for like putting together the last minute players, and like it worked this year, right? Like
Yeah.
they placed pretty well, like at champs. Um, but to your point, like the hardest part about being a GM is like knowing when to sell your top player or trading your top player because obviously like Snoopy right now is probably at the highest value that he's ever been.
Yeah.
So realistically, you should get rid of him for the money. So then you can get like another player that's probably not as good as him, but you want to keep, the value. Like Purge right now is probably great value with the amount of money that they're paying him. And I mean they placed third at champs. That's great value for the
Oh
amount of
yeah.
money they're paying for these four guys. But yeah, they should take a risk and just look at some challenger players. But on top of that, like Carolina's another team that team just completely broke up. So
Right.
we don't even know. That's going to be another hodgepodge collection of players, which is fine, but I hope it's more a hodgepodge of players from challengers. So then we can see, if they get their shot. I realistically, I think the bottom three teams at least should just rotate players, just start
Yeah.
experimenting. And I hope they're able to do that given the season format changes a bit, so they have some time to like actually work it out. Because I understand, like, I don't like seeing a revolving door on teams. Like, that's just, it's
Yeah.
not fun to watch.
Right.
Unless it's a top team, because then it's like, oh, why are they doing this? And like all the eyes are on them. But
Mhm.
like Rocker, for example, the rumor is like Slasher, Skies, Gwyn, and Abe. Like I don't think that team's gonna, like, if anything, they'll peak at the like mid pack, you know.
Right.
Um Clearly I think Slasher, formerly on Boston, I wish he was just here a bit longer, but I think him and Gwyn like playing with each other, so they're teaming together again. And um I think that benefits Gwyn a lot more just because he can learn more about the game under him. But yeah, with Skies, it's a bit weird too because he's kind of in the same boat as Kiz. Uh, but I technically Skies won a ring
Right.
technically.
Right.
Well, under Optic, and like
Yeah.
it's just weird ever since Hydra left. Like that team, that New York Subliners like trio that broke up.
Yeah, there's like down in the bottom there, like I mentioned Sib earlier, and same thing with Gwyn. Like they've got these guys who are good players, no doubt, but they haven't really been on those teams and with those people to really showcase how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they're it's like untapped potential, you know? Because I remember when Gwyn came into the league, everyone was hyping him up big time, and he's a really good player. But and even this year, like when he was on Carolina at the beginning of the year, they were looking really good. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that this was going to be a team that, he's finally going to be, showing his stuff with.
They're gonna be the
Um,
surge.
right,
Yeah.
right. But just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And he's maybe entering this realm of like the biggest what if players where he was so good,
Mm-hmm.
but he just was never on the right teams and can never really gel with the right players to make it happen. And Sib's like that too, but Sib's been at it a bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe only by a couple years, nothing crazy. Um, and then yeah, you got Slasher and you've got Skies who are like trying to reclaim themselves and show why they should still be in the league. Um, yeah, I don't know. And then Abe,
Mm-hmm.
who's like he showed up. He was on Koi, right?
Yeah, he was on Ultra.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
did really well. Like looked good. But I'm like, man, I hope to Christ this kid is not on this team and just looks bad
Yeah,
because like
yeah,
the team is bad. And
yeah.
then everyone's like, there was a whole bunch of Abe hype, prior to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope it doesn't die out and people end up being like, they kind of give him the Gwyn treatment where people at first were like, yo, we should really invest in this kid. And now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, he's kind of milling around in the middle here, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he would be nasty on a top team.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's the thing. It's the system that you're put in, right? Like,
Right. That's been the talk today
yeah,
is the
like
system.
Slasher, he's consistent. Like, oh, and when people say he's trash and he's slower and stuff, I'm like, you gotta check yourself because when he was on FaZe, they won. Like, he knows how to win.
Right.
Um, and if you take a veteran like that, and then if you can't win with three superstar players, like I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Like you could throw one of us into FaZe. I guarantee you, we're doing something with that. Like,
I hope.
yeah. Um, but then like Skies, he was on the Subliners team, and again,
Mhm.
Hydra was the glue for all those guys, made everyone shine. And then Skies got thrown into the Optic team, and then like immediately like didn't do anything. um,
Right.
it just shows system, team chemistry. You can't just throw players and hope it sticks against a wall. Like it just doesn't work like that. And yeah, with Gwyn, he's a guy that everyone's trying to build around, right? Because like he does have that potential. It's right there, but you don't want to be that player that like you pop off, but then you start plateauing. Like you don't get any better, you don't get any worse. You're just there. Um, Plateauing's probably worse.
Yeah, yeah. And he needs to get out of that. Like
Yeah.
he needs to perform at a really high level, so when people look at him, they can tell that he's got it, and he's being wasted down here.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and and one of these teams like the Falcons maybe will try to summon him up
Yeah.
and put him around like a bunch of world champions. It's like, okay, now's your time to go.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's just again, that's the story of the CDL every year, right? It's always these teams at the top that of course have it figured out and they got the capital to be able to throw around and try to build a team that's good. Some, just do it blindly. And then some teams have some strategy. And then there's everybody else at the bottom who's just trying to claw their way out of the bottom.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know that the bottom bit this year, I think we're gonna by the end of this year, we're going to see a lot of these guys go.
Mhm.
I think Black Ops 7 is going to be the nail in the coffin for a lot of these pros who've been around for a minute, because everyone's hyping up this game. Everyone's talking about how it's got like the Black Ops 2 maps. It's got the Black Ops 2 vibes. Everyone's really excited about it. Um, for a lot of those long time pros, if they can't pull it and make it happen in this one, uh, I think they're gonna call it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And then we'll see that full new era come in of players there.
yeah. I mean, Black Ops 6 was really like the Grim Reaper.
It
It,
was.
it took out so many pro players or like vets. Like Slasher and Skies are really like the two lasting ones. Mainly Slasher. Skies, funny enough, like he's still pretty young. Uh, Slash is like the old guard. Like it's him.
He's the last one, yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of the players that are retired this year too, again, they're retired because of the game. I think at the end of the day, they all know they still have a shot of playing the game and winning. It's just a matter of finding the right players around you and the format and stuff of the game. I really think
Right.
that this format is it's so tough for any team to mesh in a month and like
Yeah.
each other as a team, and then it doesn't work. All right, we got to switch.
And how many times can you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Before you're just like, dude, you're like,
What am I
well,
doing?
what am I doing? Yeah, like the other players on the team too. It's like we have to relearn it again with another
Right.
person.
Right.
Um,
Right. It's like
so
you're always thinking, no, next year, next year.
yeah,
And then by the time you know, you're like, dude, I'm 30.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
and like when was the last chip I won? How many days was it? Like, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
You know? I mean, I'll say like with closing here, make me feel old, but I saw it on Twitter. It was 5 years ago, the MW 2019 COD champs.
Mhm.
They're like 5 years ago today. I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm like, bro, that wasn't that. I'm like, that was 2 years ago.
yeah. No, yeah, literally.
Like, it goes fast, and you think of all those guys back then who were playing, and they're all gone. Like a lot of them are
Mhm.
gone. Every year it changes. These people, they go through those struggles, and they're tired of it. They're
Mhm.
getting old, and they're like, man, I'm not going to keep doing this. Like
Yeah.
being on these bottom teams, really trying to figure it out. Um, it gets tiresome, especially when you've been someone like Slasher, where you've been at the top, and you
Mhm.
know what that is like. For you to be milling in the bottom, some of those guys are just like, it's not worth it. Like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
go do something else at this point.
Yeah, and I think like obviously I'm sure he's like thinking about that in the back of his head,
Yeah,
but he wants to go out on his own terms because I feel like this team, the Ravens, like they started on such a high note and then they just
right,
completely fell apart. Like
right,
they just gave up. Like
yeah,
it's just weird. Like they just stopped like
yeah,
trying. Um, I think if this is his last year, he's just gonna give it his all through the whole season, and hopefully the team does too. Like out of respect, just finish the
right,
season and not just like, hey, yo, I'm leaving, or
right.
you didn't even get to play in EWC. The org just fucked up. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's
can't.
insane.
Yeah, he
Can't
can't
even believe it.
control like any of that. But I will say, last thing, one shout. I hope this man Vivid ends up on a team because this guy is always
Get
in and
this
out of the
man in the
league.
goddamn league, Justin.
Because he works. He always comes in and he fries,
Bro.
and then he gets gypped again. And it just,
Dude, he has been dealt the dirtiest hand. Like, I think it goes Hook, then it goes him. Like,
yeah,
they're very close there. But even with Vivid's always like, when he leaves, everyone's like, oh fuck, he was the dude that we needed.
yeah, yeah.
He's always that guy. They're like, yeah, we're not doing that good. They get rid of him. Oh man,
We should have kept Reese.
like we got rid of the wrong guy.
Yeah. So I hope he finds himself on a team. But again, like he's always in the
Boston
league at some point.
Bridge.
Yeah, run it back again.
Run it
Again.
back. Why not? I mean, I wouldn't hate to see it, but
Yeah.
we will see though. But yeah, I think that's it, bro, for ROSTERMANIA. It has been a minute on the ROSTERMANIA, but of course, as the months go on, if there's any more confirmations on this stuff, we will talk about them. But I want to say that most of these are pretty much confirmed. Like that's,
They're
seems to
close.
be they're like,
Close.
I would say we're probably shooting about 80%.
Oh,
That's
I
what it's going to be.
I would say the top like 4 teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. Everything that's going on in the middle, like I got no
No
idea what
idea.
Cloud9's
Yeah.
doing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff's kind of all in the air. But when it comes to the main heavy hitters, like FaZe, Thieves, Falcons, obviously Optic, and Gentlemates, I think that's pretty much what it's going to be.
Unless some last minute swirl happens, which has happened in the past before.
Yeah, it
like
has.
someone just screws, someone else over, which that's just business. Sucks. But
Salian goes back to FaZe.
Yeah. Sal's like, he's like, you know what? Actually, I'm rethinking this. Thieves, I will sign your deal.
Yeah,
exactly. And then they get rid of Ken.
Oh my god, it would be insane.
So,
but we will see though. So again, everybody for listening, obviously, thank you so much for listening to the episode. But do let us know which team you think is going to be the top team going into Black Ops 7 with these rumors. If you think it's going to be Optic again, which I think is a fair bet, or it's going to be FaZe or Thieves or Falcons, do let us know in the comments below. We'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all streaming platforms, and go to the YouTube and comment, like, and subscribe. And of course, go into the Instagram and TikTok and be sure to like the comment over there because why not? We're trying to grow both those channels. So we appreciate any support that we can. And then, of course, on Spotify, 5 stars always. And then if you want to keep in touch with us, of course, just go to Twitter or X at COD Casuals. That's where we're always at. And be sure to join the COD Casuals group on there since we're going to be posting in there and always posting. It's the best way to keep in contact with us. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and again, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode, number 238 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.